We have an obligation to act, and it would be irresponsible and reckless not to. Those are the words of Auckland Mayor Phil Goff after New Zealand's largest city declared a climate emergency today. Auckland Council is the latest to signal urgent action against climate change following Christchurch and Nelson last month. Mayor Phil Goff joins me now. Good evening, Phil.
Good evening, Lisa.
I mean, it sort of sounds like a good bumper sticker, but what does it actually mean in real terms?
Yeah, well, it's no good if it's just a bumper sticker. It's got to actually be converted into action because that's what counts. I mean, what does the emergency declaration do? It simply emphasises the urgency of what we're looking at. And, that's already done by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, where the top international scientists are saying you've got barely 10 years to do this, or the results will be catastrophic environmentally and economically. So it's emphasising that point. What we also passed today was a climate action framework, and that's one step along the way. Our next step is to consult on that and then to convert it to an action plan where it sets out detailed actions that we can take as a council, costings of those actions and what the source of revenue will be. That's what really counts in this rather than simply the declaration.
Can you give me one material thing that you think will eventuate from this? One actual form of action?
Yeah, I think that the critical area will be transport, and the critical area in which the council will need to act is the area of diesel buses. We're currently trialling 3 diesel buses. We'll soon increase that to 12, but actually we need to convert our whole diesel fleet to electric as we phase out the diesel buses at the end of life. And
sorry to interrupt, Phil.
The biggest thing we can do.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but will the emergency declaration means that happens any faster or in any way different to what it would have done otherwise?
Yeah, I think what we got was a greater awareness around the council table that this has to be front and centre of the actions that we take. For example, we are now requiring from council that any proposal, any project we're working on, that there's a climate impact report from that action. Now, government does that in terms of, financial report and well-being impact. We need to do that around climate change. I think, today was great. It was great mainly because, hey, the kids that were there today were the kids that will be actually feeling the real impact of this long after you and I have departed from this earth. And they brought that sense of urgency to the council. This is the world we're growing up in. This is the world your kids and your grandkids are growing up in. Don't leave us a rotten legacy of having to face something that's going to devastate our lives, affect our quality of life, and affect the environment that we live in.
But this declaration has no legal status, does it? And it has no statutory obligations attached to it all. So
it is a statement that we need to deal with this urgently, and the statement accompanying that was this isn't just a thing that council can do, it's what the community has to do, the council has to do, the country has to do, and what we need to do internationally. And unless we all pull our weight on that, unless we all play our part, we will be paying dearly in 10 years' time, much more than the cost of dealing with preventive action now.
But my point in asking you that, Mr. Mayor, is that there's no way to hold you to this emergency declaration other than to kick you out next time if you don't act fast enough.
Isn't that the main way that you hold politicians accountable? I would have thought that that's what really focused their minds. Yes, it has no statutory impact, it has no legal impact, but this is a statement of what we need to do and a statement of our acceptance of the urgency in doing it. And I think that's really important because, what we have to do as a council, because there is a cost associated with dealing with climate change, is that we have to carry our community with us. We have to lift the level of awareness. We have to lift the level of education.
So are you warning
us? This is a priority for us.
Are you warning us of a rates increase if we want to have climate change action? Is that the underlying message here?
If you look at it as a country as a whole, whether you're a ratepayer or a taxpayer, will we have to spend money to mitigate the effects of climate change and to adapt to the impact of climate change? Of course we will. We've already in our long-term plan put $40 million in towards climate change and $90 million in towards managing our coasts. But this is because we know the impact of these things are happening now. NIWA tell us that the rainfall patterns are changing. We're getting more extreme weather events. The ice caps, both northern and southern hemisphere, are melting and the sea level is rising. And you and I will find that we live in a city within a very short period of time where literally hundreds and then thousands of houses will not be insurable and will not be inhabitable because of the effects of climate change. So let none of us pretend that we're not going to have to spend money to deal with this situation. We will.
Thanks for joining us. That's Mayor Phil Goff on the back of Auckland Council declaring a climate emergency.